Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. My name is Noor Asha Aina binti Mawad Hanafiah. So today I will present my final presentation about Marine Rehabilitation Center for Sea Turtles. So here's is my compilation of parts. And I will start introduce my site, which is site C, that is facing the Pantai Ceruk Paloh beach and has a flatland terrain surrounded by trees. As for the site synthesis, the first one is I suggested to provide light sources around the center to ease the user to access and safety purposes during night. Second is to elevate the floor of the building since the site itself is located at the coastal area. The third one is to add signboard and propose pathway to the rehabilitation center so it can be seen and accessible. The fourth one is to orientate the building facing northeast and southwest to maximize the wind flow and avoid direct sunlight during day. And the fifth one is to integrate the existing trees inside the building to maintain the greenery of the site to the rehabilitation center. And the last one is to provide fences around the site to protect from wild animals. And we move on to the precedent studies. I have studied three buildings, which are Whitney Laboratory Sea Turtle Hospital, National Marine Life Center, and the last one is the conservation and rehabilitation of marine life animals. And what can be synthesized is the first one is the separation of spaces between two levels according to specific function. The main space for the ground floor is public and semi-public, and for the second floor is semi-public and private. Next is the orientation, that is, orientated the building facing the northeast and southwest to avoid direct sunlight. And the last one is the majority of the public space is facing the good view, but it can be separated by its function, such as public for visitors, semi-public and private for researcher and worker to do the rehabilitation purposes. Next, we move on to the case study synthesis. The first one is foundation and structure. The foundation that can be used is pile foundation since the site is located at the coastal area, so pile can support load by the friction of soil. And the material for the piling is concrete since it can avoid corrosion and can carry heavy load. And the second one is the passive design. By using a green wall, it can reduce the heat of the wall that exposed to the sunlight and orientated the building by having the opening on the southwest and northeast to avoid from the direct sunlight. And the last one is the tank consideration. The suitable size is 6 meters times 1.8 meters and 1.2 water depth. And the material that can be used is fiberglass because it can mold it in variety of shape. And by adding the divider, it can avoid from the injury between the turtles itself. Next, we move on to the concept study. The concept that has been applied is isolation since it can relate with the subject and it can be derived from the sea turtle's personality itself that is calm and harmony and have tough soul that can live more than 100 years. And to relate with the site that has full of trees and beach that can achieve the nature environment. And the purpose is to achieve the same tranquility purpose surrounding as total nature inside the rehabilitation center. And the principle that can be applied is harmony and balance. And then we move on to the next part. Before I explain it further, I want to introduce my rehabilitation building which called Tranquila, that means quiet and calm, that is strongly related with the concept that highlighted about the turtle's personality. And then for the site plan, the entrance is come from here because to relate with the immediate neighbor, which is near to the road and surrounded by the man-made and natural features. And here's is the parking area for the workers and visitors. And this part is the loading area. And the hatchery area is located near to the buildings to ease the worker to treat the injured turtles. And here's is the drop-off point. And the visitors and worker can exit at this part. And then we move on to the design process. The first one is based on the two axes. The first axis is towards the best view and the second axis is toward the wind direction. The second one is to arrange the building horizontally wide towards the best view. And then the third one is to orientate the shape to have opening because it can maximize the wind flow inside the building. The fourth one is to add another space and then separate these three form based on its function and to make it based on the radial organization. And the fifth one is to tilt the form and because to utilize the best view and opening at this both sides for the ventilation purposes and make a space for existing trees inside the building. And the sixth one is to widen the form and add curved decking to relate with the site context. Okay, then we move on to the zoning. It can be seen that for the ground floor, the major space is blue, which is public space that mean for the visitors, and pink for the semi-public for the rehabilitation purposes, and this part is private space. As for the linking, the right wing is main circulation for the visitors, and the last part is more focusing on the worker. As for the first floor, it has the same position zoning for the ground floor. And for the linking of the space, the right wing is for the visitors and the left part is private space for the worker. And I will explain the spaces in the ground floor. Okay, so as we can see from here, the space that near to the entrance is lobby, which has reception, souvenir shop, and resting area. And we can see from here, it has a main stairs for the visitors. And at the right wing, it has a mini cafeteria and exhibition for the visitors for the educational purposes. And we can see from here, it has a central courtyard which is located at the center of the building. And then this part has a toilets and musalla. And then it has a laboratory that is for the rehabilitation purposes, such as making research or operation for the turtles. And the tanks is located beside the lab to each the worker to place and loading the injured turtles. And the services room is located here, such as farm room. And then we move on for the first floor plan. The right wing space is mainly for the visitors to have a reading space and to make a research. And then at the left part is for the admin and management for the workers. And we can see from here it has a outdoor corridor that is can the visitors can view the best view because the building itself is orientated horizontally widened to the best view. Okay, next we move on for the elevations. As you can see from here, it can be seen that to enhance the isolation concept that shows tranquility by adding the horizontal greenery at the roof and vertical timber element for the facade treatments that is to relate with the site that is full of trees. And by looking at the sections, we can see that the opening at the center that shows the open plan will give exposure to the nature. And then for the southwest elevation also has the timber louvers and applying the curved roof to enhance the tranquility and to integrate the trees inside the building to utilize the side context that is facing the beach. And this section shows the lobby area. And then we move on to the interior perspective that it shows the cafeteria like bakery and coffee for the visitors and workers and the laboratory for the workers to treat the injured turtles. And here's the bigger picture for the exterior view. Okay, next we move on to the construction details. As we can see from here, the suitable foundation that can be used is pile foundation because it can hold the friction of the soil, especially in coastal area that has a medium, fine, and coarse sand. Next is the floor construction, which is concrete floor slab since it has a high durability. And for the wall, it can be used masonry brick wall because it can adjust the temperature of the building by star heat and cool air. And the last one is using the steel roof structure because it is adjustable and easy to bend to make a curved roof, and slanting seam beam will hold the roof to prevent from the wind lift force from the sea. Okay, then we move on to the lighting design strategies. For the cafeteria, I suggested to use suspended lighting and recessed lighting. And for the illuminance, the sufficient illumination that's suitable is 100 to 200 lux. And then for the ambience technique, using dimmer lighting technique can create relaxing mood inside the cafeteria, and natural lighting for the dining to eat so they can experience different kind of mood and relaxing mood. And then for the energy efficiency, using incandescent bulb and automated control bulb, so it will save energy when there's no movement and human activity. And then for the exhibition, the lighting technique that can be used is track lighting fixture at the wall. As for the sufficient illumination, which is 100 to 300 lux, and by using the LED bulb, can give little radiation and heat, and daylight opening can save energy during day. And then for the ambience technique, it can use the wall washing technique that offer wide angle of light and minimalist environment for the small exhibition, and spotlighting the main part of the exhibition, and it can create welcoming mood and aesthetic impressions. So here's the structural model. And final models. And that's all from me. Thank you.